Is it welcome to the sound of the start of the weekend or welcome to the sound of the start of your weekend?
So we're now confused.
Yeah.
I think what might have happened here is the reverters have reverted it from, I think you say the sound of the start of the weekend, and their lyrics are, I'm not going to sing it, the sound of the start of your weekend. And now that's in your head and you've got confused.
Welcome to it either way. It's not the Top 20s betting show, sponsored by Sky Bets for over 18s only, because it's me, Ali, and him, George, making betting picks ahead of a weekend of football tapas. One full slate of championship action, 2 League One games, 1 League Two game, and 20 FA Cup second round games. And Friday, 5 p.m, more likely Friday, 7 p.m, the World Cup draw, which we are buzzing about. The England pod, our sibling podcast, we've done what I thought was a very enjoyable episode previewing the World Cup draw, permutations galore, and a bit of fun in there as well. So if you're an England football fan, make sure you listen to that before 5-ish on Friday. Last week on this show, good one for me, getting my nap up. Fairly fortunate, if I'm honest. Preston against Sheffield Wednesday, 3-2 win from behind, with Wednesday missing chances as well. But Joe Gelhardt, of course he did, scored at 9-2, half a point on. That was enough for 2.25 points profit in total for me, with an Eggman that was 3 out of 5, and almost a 30-1 double, one of the legs of the Trixie, as Ethan Wheatley hit the post. So goal scorer corners going well, and that was a winning week, which I needed. Not such a good one for you. Knapp, Barnet to 0, 1-1 against Harrogate. Burton got thumped by Leighton Orient. Stansfield and Manhoof didn't score. But Stockport was a successful Acca Swerve. They did not beat Barnsley at home. That was another good Acca Swerve from you. And the BTTS sixfold, you'll never guess what happened in that.
Not again.
11 teams out of the 12 scored for at least the third time this season.
Shambles.
Pretty tough to take. Now, as I said, lots of different competitions included in the weekend's football, and therefore in this show. George is going very championship heavy. I'm looking more at the FA Cup and some of the League One and League Two games. George, it's a hell of a weekend in the championship. There are some massive fixtures in isolation, such as Oxford, Swansea, Birmingham, Southampton, Sheffield United, the form team at the moment, against Stoke, who are in the top 3, Charlton and Portsmouth, both on the slide, Bristol City and Millwall, who I think are 4th and 5th, Ipswich, Coventry, probably the 2 favs right now for the championship or for top 2. And the best part of this is, I love this so much, these fixtures are mirrored again on the 29th of December. So these pairs of teams will play each other twice in the next 4 weeks. And where will all of these teams be come full time on the 29th? 5 games in that time, I think it is. I am drooling at the prospect.
Can you be mirrored again?
Mirrored
Surely
again, ole ole.
Surely it was mirrored once.
That's a good point.
Yeah, thank you. It's really good. It's a great slate, lots of important games. I am excited for them. I wouldn't say it's the best betting docket slate. I'm not overly enamoured with what we've been served, but I think I found a couple of angles of attack.
I must admit, I was pretty scared off by the championship slate, so looking forward to hearing what your nap is.
My nap is Sheffield United to beat Stoke City at 21-20. A classic case, this, of a team that started the season quite badly. Everything was quite bad. They were getting bad results. Underlying numbers weren't quite as bad, but it wasn't great. And now Sheffield United are starting to turn it on. We've seen them win 3 of their last 3 games, It should, effectively, they've been 3-0 up in all of them. But last time out against Leicester, having taken a 2-goal lead inside 5 minutes, they then somehow kind of conspired to make it quite difficult for themselves and concede 2 goals and only win the game 3-2. But even so, we always talk about the quality of teams being more evident when the scores are level, and against Sheffield Wednesday, against Portsmouth in the game prior to the Leicester game, and in the Leicester game itself, they've effectively killed the game by going 3 goals ahead, albeit they were helped to an extent when 1-0 up against Pompey by a red card to Terry Devlin late in the first half. It kind of stands to reason they should be quite good. Chris Wilder is back, which makes a big impact. Their squad was always better than the performances they were getting. Under Wilder, we've seen some players who didn't start the season particularly well coming into their own. Tom Cannon has found his shooting boots, finally, with a couple of goals in those 3 games. Sariki's looking really dangerous at right back. Callum O'Hare, who started the season well, has continued playing well. Riederveld's looking better with every game that goes by. City Peck has found some goal-scoring form too. And they've got quality off the bench. And most importantly, who came off the bench for 25 minutes in their last game against Leicester City? Gustavo Harmer.
Yes.
Should be, or certainly was awarded Player of the Season last season in the Championship, should be one of the best players in the whole league. And his return has to be a positive for Blades going forward. They're playing against a Stoke side where, big respect to Stoke.
You've always said that, haven't you? Big respect to Stoke.
And big respect to every team.
It's one of those clubs that you show the most respect to, I'd say.
Lovely walk from the station to the ground.
Yeah.
It's a...
Oatcakes.
Oatcake, yeah, exactly. We do a podcast they're about to record after this for NTT20.com called Good Month, Bad Month.
Yeah. What's the premise?
Does exactly what it says on the tin. Ronsil.
Yeah.
And I put Stoke up for bad month last month, and I thought I was going to look like quite a big idiot when they beat Bristol City 5-1 in the first game of the month. But it didn't actually age too badly because sneakily, Stoke have lost 3 of their last 4 games.
Wow.
The only win coming in a 3-0 home win against Charlton, who are... Sorry to kind of do product placement again, but as per Not the Top Table on NTT20.com, Charlton have the worst XG ratio in the league by quite some way in the last 5 games in the Championship.
Yeah.
They lost 2-1 to Hull last time out, albeit in a game where, it's another game where Hull have taken their chances. Stoke will feel like in the first half, certainly, had they taken more of theirs, that they should have had more of a lead than the 1-goal lead they took into half-time, albeit Hull came back very strong in the second half. But they're just not necessarily playing as well as they were early in the season. I think it's fair to say that Stoke might be one of those teams that aren't quite as good as their points tally so far, who maybe are destined to slide somewhere from where they are now on the fringes of the automatic spots to being on the fringes of the playoffs. Not a massive demise by any stretch, but in my mind, you've got a Sheffield United side whose squad is better, who have more kind of back form in terms of what they did before the season with this group of players, who are in the ascendancy up against a Stoke side that may be regressing a little bit. And as per the prices at the moment, it would have Sheffield United, as favourites at a neutral venue, but there's not much in it. I kind of think there might be a chance that if this game was to happen in a couple of months' time, when Blades are higher in the table and maybe Stoke are a bit lower down, and there's more of kind of the recent form that's being played out in front of us to go with, then there's a chance Sheffield United will be odds on here. But we're getting odds against, even if it's just about. But I think they're a team that I'm happy to side with. So Sheffield United to beat Stoke at 21-20 is my best bet of the weekend.
Right then. How about Bradford to win to 0 at Plymouth Argyle as my best bet of the weekend? Win to 0. Winter started, with a stutter with George's Barnett pick last week. But Bradford win to 0 at Home Park at 100-30 with Sky Bet, 4.33. The decimal is taking my 2-point play this week. We'll start with the home side, Argyle. It's a right mess, I think would be the best way to describe it at the moment. On the pitch, 4 points in the last 7 games, tons of defeats in there. Last week at home to Northampton Town, decent start, decent first half where chances weren't taken. The alarming crumbliness of their second half once they went 1 down was remarkable, really. Beaten 3-0. Cobblers had one off the post as well through Wheatley. Tom Cleverley's not getting it right tactically. His team selection, to me, looks very, very questionable, and to me looks to me like something that you see fairly regularly with managers who are under pressure, struggling, and desperately trying to find something that works without a particularly clear strategy of what that is. Hasn't really got anything to work consistently this season. And if it wasn't for Laurent Tolai, the only positive thing I can say about Argyle this season is that buying Tolai was an absolute masterstroke. Yeah. It's one of the signings of the season in the EFL. And they should get loads of credit for that. Unfortunately, if you examine some of their other signings, they lose a little bit of credit. Tolai suspended for 3 games. He got sent off against Northampton. He won't be available here. Now, the last time a Plymouth Argyle player scored in League One that wasn't Laurent Tolai was 8 games ago. In late September, Bim Peppel scored in a 4-0 win. He's injured for this one as well. Owen Orsini is the only fit striker. He actually did score in that game, but it's been pretty clear that Orsini is certainly third choice in the striking ranks and is not a patch on Laurent Tolai. They had a fans forum in midweek. Those are always quite messy when you schedule them for the middle of a really, really tough time. I wouldn't say it went particularly well. I don't think it was truly disastrous either. I think a lot of fans got a lot off their chest, and I think those on stage tried their best to answer, and I think the response was fairly mixed, but it's pretty clear that everyone hates the squad. The amount of questions around the horrendous squad building, what are you going to do to get better players in? in, because these are clearly rubbish. It's fair to say there's not a lot of support for Cleverley as well. So in the ground, I'm not sure if Bradford starts strong, there's going to be a huge swell of support to kind of give Argyle that leg up that they need, which they've had. You know, the home advantage in the last few seasons was really a huge platform for their decent few years, going from League Two to the Championship and then staying up in that first season. So I guess I say all that to say, if Argyle put out a strong display here, I would absolutely take my hat off to Cleverley and his team, because I think all of the conditions are going against them here. Bradford coming to town, they've had a pretty strange 2 months or so in that they won against Exeter last time out. It was their first win for quite a while, but they've barely lost either. Just the home defeat to Burton in their last 8, 6 draws in there, or 5 draws in there, and 2 wins in their last 8. They've got their holy trinity available. That's what I consider Sarcevic, Pattison and Poynton to be. I think they're 3 players that really add so much to the team. At the top of the pitch, from attacking midfield positions, they've got Stephen Humphreys fit. They've got Swan. They've got Cook fit as well. So they've got all their attacking options. They've got that pace out wide. It hasn't been great going forward for Bradford recently, but we know they've got it in them. And we know that Argyle's back line are pretty vulnerable. Crucially for the win-to-nil aspect to this, they've kept 3 clean sheets in their last 4 and 4 in their last 8. So the reason Bradford's form dropped off in terms of wins, they stopped scoring goals to quite the same extent. But you'd say the reason that they're drawing games broadly rather than losing them is because their defence defensively has been fairly sturdy. So if Bradford get ahead, and I expect them to, based on what we saw last week against Northampton where Argyle crumbled, and without Argyle having Laurent Olai, those are the main reasons for me wanting to back Bradford to win to nil at 100-30 with Sky Bet.
Do you know who the largest chicken producer in the world is?
Venky's.
Nope, it's a company called Pilgrims.
Is it?
Time for revenge.
Wow. What a remarkable thing for you to have been looking up.
No, I kind of knew it, and I just needed to verify it.
Right.
There you go.
Thanks.
So the Pilgrims are going to get pecked by the chickens.
What's your next best?
Okay. My next best is, I was hoping for a bigger reaction. I'm not going to lie.
No, it's good. I said that's a remarkable thing for you to have looked at while I was talking.
It's fine.
Really good stuff.
I listened to the whole thing as well. My next best is in Friday Night Football, where Hull are hosting Middlesbrough, and the selection, and this is because it's a reduced slate, because I know generally we try and keep it to kind of one team to beat another one, but I'm going to put up over 4.5 goals.
What?
At 11-2.
There's something about these sort of patched up weekends that make us both go a little bit funky.
Yeah, I mean, I was really tempted to put up the over 5.5 at 12-1, and I wouldn't put anyone off, but I think as the official selection, I'm going for the 11-2, about over 4.5. Now, this has copped in 5 or 6. It is 6 of Hull's total games, so in all competitions so far this season. Mm-hmm. They've played 19. So 6 out of 19 games that Hull have played this season have already copped over 4.5, which shows that alone means the 11-2 is too big. Is this sustainable, I hear you ask? Because as we've discussed, Hull are the most entertaining side in terms of action at both ends in the Championship. And often when that happens, especially kind of at this stage of the season where we're just about halfway through, there's a bit of noise there, and often that can kind of regress to an extent. And it's because oppositions are taking their chances more often, or they're being very clinical. Because if we look at the league table so far this season, only Coventry have scored more goals than Hull, and only Sheffield Wednesday have conceded more goals than Hull. From an attacking standpoint, they are a little bit, as you'd expect. They're having a purple patch. As per Opta, their XG this season is 24.2. They've scored 30 goals. So 6 goals more scored than the XG would have you believe. But they still rank 8th. So they're still like a pretty efficient chance creation side mm-hmm. within the Championship. From a defensive perspective, it is an utter shambles. They've conceded 30 goals this season, already the second most in the league. That comes from an XG of 35.9.
Well, they've got a lot to thank the Panda for.
Exactly. So if you offset the two off each other, they're bang on in terms of total goals, their expected goals this season. So no, there's no reason why they should regress at all. I love their opponent for this, for a goals bet, because Borough this season, not overly goalsy, as you'd probably expect with the Rob Edwards side, but Rob Edwards isn't their manager anymore. Their manager is now Kim Kjellberg. Everything we've heard about him suggests that they are going to be really fun, really expansive, kind of high-risk football. And I think when you have a manager like this coming into a club early on and having to try and implement philosophies during a busy season that inevitably he'll want to do, that can create some uncertainty. When you look at their last game against Derby, it was a 2-1 game, so both teams covered over 2.5. But prior to that, We had a 4-2 against Coventry, which was AD Viviesh's last game in charge. So like some signs already they're getting more goalsy. I'm very, very keen to side with goals here. I just can't understand why. Like last season, when what was his name? That manager early in the season, Tim Volter. Tim Volter comes in and does an interview in July about heart attack football, and Hull goal lines after that were like really high for the first weeks of the season. Hull are now genuinely playing ridiculous football at both ends, and yet the market, I think you can back over 2.5 here at like 17 to 20. I just don't get it. Some good team news as well for Hull with Ollie McBurney set to play some role in this. Liam Miller set to play some role in this too. Baloomi's coming back from injury, so like key attacking players coming back. Less of a reliance on Joe Gallagher to score, albeit he's a massive price to score again this weekend, which just seems kind of crazy. So yeah, goals for this one over 4.5 is the selection. Let's try and hit a big price at 11-2.
Goal scorer corner has Joe Gelhardt in it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
1.130. Why not? Why not? He scored for us last week. He has scored for us pretty consistently.
Has anyone scored more than him in the Championship this season?
Have a look.
That.
I think Brandon Thomas Asante might have done.
I've got to get off the Pilgrims website. Give me a second.
Stop looking at chickens.
Brandon Thomas Asante and Carlton Morris have 9. Joe Gelhardt has they have 10. Joe Gelhardt has 9.
The 100 to 30 is best price with Sky Bet, so I think we're getting value within that. And this is backing a guy to score who has scored not just 7 goals in his last 9 games, but in 7 of his last 9 games. There's no doubles in there. They're all anytime landing. Who hits the target with 1.58 shots per 90 and who hits the target with power and with accuracy. Playing for a team who score 1.67 goals a game. Against a team in Borough, just about the only thing that you didn't mention that I would have probably mentioned is a pretty remarkable defensive injury crisis, which meant that last week Borough had to play Matt Targett at centre-back and Bangura, who hadn't played a minute before this season, and as far as I can see, not really considered a particularly serious player for Borough if everyone is fit, at left-back. And by all accounts, Bangura did pretty well, but I think that's with a fairly low expectation level, it's fair to say. The centre-back injuries, in terms of returns, are a bit unclear when it comes to Fry, when it comes to Edmondson. Hellberg not giving too much away. But they're a bit of a mess defensively. And on top of that, Hellberg looks to be trying to play some pretty expansive football. Essentially, when they attack with both fullbacks high and wide, and then 4 attackers, Soncha Hansen, Tommy Conway, Bergzorg and Whittaker all started, with Hackney playing a very advanced midfield role as well. So should be opportunities for Hull to break on them. And when they do that, they look so dangerous. And Gelhardt, you just don't want to give him a good look at goal. So I probably won't back Joe Gelhardt every single week, but this is about, genuinely, like this is about making money. Goal scorer corner has been doing pretty well on that front, and Gelhardt's my first pick, 1 point on at 130 in that Friday night game. Now I'm afraid there's another Friday night game for the second part of goal scorer corner, and it's someone that was described this week as the Kvicha Kvaratskhelia of League One.
What idiot said that?
Aaron Connolly of Leighton Orient. He is 9-4 to score anytime for Orient against Salford in the FA Cup, putting 1 point on Connolly to score anytime. I'm also putting half a point on Connolly to score 2 or more at 16-1. Again, best price with Sky Bet there. Now, anytime has landed in 8 of 19 games for Connolly this season. That's a 42% hit rate, which would imply around 11-8, 9-5 odds in terms of the probability of that happening at 42%. But we're getting 9-4 here. He's so good, Connolly. Like, he's one of those players who, basically whoever he played for, whether it was Brighton, whether it was Sunderland, whether it was Millwall, every fan that I ever spoke to was like, he's really good. But he'd been open about some problems that he was having off the pitch that were affecting his availability and his performance. And he's pitched up at Leighton Orient, and there have been no issues with availability, and there have been no issues with performance. The reason I said he reminded me of Kvaratskhelia is because when I watch Kvaratskhelia play, he gets the ball on the left wing, he dribbles inside, he gets shots off. And he dribbles at speed, and he gets shots off with power with both feet. And that's Aaron Connolly, and he's scoring goals this season. The Salford right wing-back situation, that's kind of his target area, has been chopped and changed a lot. Carl Robinson going with Haji Minoga, Rosaire Longello, Kadeem Harris at right wing-back. Not great options, I don't think, and certainly hasn't landed on one that works, partly maybe because at right centre-back, it's either Tom Edwards or Ollie Turton, who are not the most mobile of defenders. So I back Connolly to be just too good, essentially, for the Salford back line. Also, the last cup game, the first round of the cup, Mark Howard, the backup keeper, played rather than Matty Young, who I rate very, very highly. I would have that as a big tick in the box for this bet. If Howard is being given cup games as a thanks for being Matty Young's backup, that's great news for us, I think, because he's not as good. The reason I'm adding 2 or more at 16-1 at 0.5 points is like a shot volume aspect to this as well. So Connolly just takes tons of shots. 4 shots or more in 9 of his 19 games so far this season. 3 shots or more in 15 of 19. So we can be fairly confident, I think, that the guy we want to score 2 or more here is going to take 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 shots in the game. And that's what you want for a 2 or more bet, obviously. Then there's the fact that Salford, as I often say, quite an unserious team who've conceded 2 or more in their last 3 in the league, 5 of their last 8 in the league, and managed to lose 7-2 in midweek to Rotherham in the old trophy. So Aaron Connolly, 1 point.
The old trophy.
1 point to score.
Your old mate.
At 9-4 and half a point, the 2 or more at 16-1, along with Joe Joffe Gelhard to score at 100-30, 1 point on.
I've just got one goal scorer this week for my point, and that is Brian de Keersmaker.
Nice.
To score any time for Oxford away at Swansea at 9-1. A few reasons for this. I think Swansea are very, very short to win this game. They're even money to win it. Having lost 5 games in a row, this is obviously a massive game for Swansea, a massive game for Vitor Matos. And if they lose this, alarm bells are going to be ringing within, the Swansea. I mean, they already are, but I think there'll be kind of panic stations. But is panic stations one on from alarm bells? Yes.
Has to be.
Is there anything in between?
No.
Okay.
I think alarm bells, panic stations.
Fine. So alarm bells are ringing now, panic stations if they lose. And I think Oxford will go to Swansea and fancy their chances, having beaten Ipswich last time out, having been unbeaten in 3 games. Generally, Rowett likes to play a pretty defensive system away from home, but against Bristol City in a game that Oxford won comfortably, effectively against a side who press quite high and play quite a high line, Oxford looked to exploit that with a trigger press that we haven't necessarily seen that often, but we did see against Ipswich, where they sat back for long periods of the game, but when they did pressed effectively, and were able to kind of capitalise on that space in behind with their pace that they've got, or that we've got really. But in De Keersmaker, you've got a player who, when he plays with Brannigan in the midfield too, his role there has to be impacted by the fact that Brannigan is someone who is very, very good on the ball, who wants to get on the ball at all times, isn't the most mobile, wants to get into advanced positions and wants to get shots off. He'll now be playing with Will Volks. Now, Volks also isn't the most mobile, but he's much more defensively minded. De Keersmaker is unquestionably the better footballer of the two and the better distributor, and therefore he is seeing more of the ball, and he's seeing the ball in more advanced areas. We saw him whistle a shot past the post when we were at Carrow Road against Norwich, where a long throw was played short, if that makes sense. It happens not very often. He also had a shot on target that was saved by Walton against Ipswich. We're seeing him get into those areas more. There's also, and Oxford haven't received a penalty for about 50 games now, so this probably won't happen. But we have no idea who's going to take a penalty with Cameron Brannigan out. I think there's got to be a fair chance De Keersmaker would be on them if he's on the pitch, given his ball striking ability and kind of his seniority within the squad. And he certainly could also be on free kicks as well, given he takes quite a few corners. So loads of reasons there to think that he'll feature pretty heavily in a game that I fancy Oxford to have some say in the game. And I think De Keersmaker is he's going to score soon. This season he hasn't scored yet from about 1.6 XG. He will score soon. It's coming. And I think this is a weekend where it might happen at 9-1.
Love it. What do we got now? The Eggman. That is my 5-fold accumulator. And it is as follows. Leighton Orient to beat Salford. Apologies, Friday night game. If you listen to this on Saturday morning, I do genuinely feel bad because quite a lot of the picks have already happened.
Could be a little Eggman.
Yeah. You could place the 4-fold if you like.
A quail's Eggman.
Yeah, nice. A chocolate egg. Orient at Salford, I mean, as discussed with Aaron Connolly, I think he is going to be a big player in this game. Ballard, massive goal threat as well. I like Orient at the moment. I said a couple of weeks ago, I thought they were set to start firing, start flying, and the 4-0 win against Burton last weekend suggested that is certainly the direction of travel. Salford, a bit iffy, very hard to predict, pretty unserious. I would expect Orient to beat them. Obviously, this bet could be done by Friday, but hopefully it rolls into Saturday, where in the FA Cup, Accrington at home to Mansfield, 21-10. Aki, one of those clubs who, for me, I think are going to take cup games really seriously because they've got one of the smallest budgets in League Two, because they're one of the teams that's really had to dial back their budget, where most have boosted them over the last few years. Any type of cup prize money makes a massive difference to them, will make a massive difference to them heading into January. And I would assume this game has 10 out of 10 importance to them. Not only that, they're pretty good at home. 4 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats at home this season in the league. They've only conceded 8 in 9 games. Players like Isaac Heath, Tyler Walton have really raised their ceiling going forward, and they've been much better defensively. The keeper they have this season, Ollie Wright, much better than the keeper they had last season. They are a better side than last season, albeit they are not one of the best teams in League Two by any stretch. But this is also to do with Mansfield. Now, big thanks to Sam Binch from the squad, who has helped a lot on Mansfield information recently. Firstly, at the start of the week, pointing out the injury crisis that they have at the moment with Tyler Roberts, Regan Hendry, George Maris, Rhys Oates, Max Dickov, Joe Gardner, and Luke Bolton missing over the weekend. That was 7 of their 11 attacking players, and Ryan Sweeney. Noyle went off injured after 20 minutes. Bowery came on and got injured in stoppage time. Aaron Lewis was limping at the end too, says Sam. So really up against it injury-wise. Now, Mansfield and Clough generally take cups quite seriously. He's had good cup runs in the past at Burton, Sheffield United. Sam making the point that they played Harrogate in the first round, who are similar level-ish in terms of stature to Accrington. Full-strength team for Mansfield, just about won by 3-2. But Clough did say this week, he mentioned in his press, like, the busy schedule they've got coming up. They've got a league game in midweek and then another league game on Saturday and then a busy Christmas period. So with the injuries, he called it a balancing act on who they risk on Saturday. So I think team news might point towards Mansfield not looking very strong. I think the current 21-10 about Aki is good value. I'm also backing Sutton of the National League to beat Shrewsbury of League Two. This is partly about Sutton. Chris Agata is the manager that they replaced Steve Morrison with, and it couldn't have gone much better. Agata came from Worthing, where he'd had a good spell, and things are going very, very well for him at Sutton. They were in relegation trouble when Steve Morrison left, and they're in flying form, scoring tons and tons of goals. Since he joined, Agata, joint third in the country with MK Dons for goals scored per game at 2.4, joint second in the country for total goals per game in 4.2. So you can expect an entertaining game generally, and good underlying numbers as well in the National League since Chris Agata came in. They've also won 4 out of their last 5 at home in the league, and I think Shrews are still not a good side, despite 3 wins and a draw at home in the league in their last 4. Away from home, still have not worked it out. 6 defeats in 9 away from home in the league. They have to deal with relegation concerns before they think about anything else, prioritise anything else this season. And I think Sutton can catch them cold, and they are 2.75, 7-4 to do so. So that goes in. We've got Bradford, who are the nap. I've got them just to win at 2.3, 13-10 rather than the win to 0, for the sake of having Acca-Freeze available. And Colchester Gills. Colchester is the pick here, 19-20. The last pick is just about big enough for me, 19-20, based on just a huge difference in these two sides' performance levels and results recently. Colchester have been projecting as one of, if not the best team in League Two over the last 10, 12 games, and the results are in line with that. They are winning and flying up the table. Gills have done the opposite, essentially. Started the season strongly, but have only won 1 league game in their last 9, and that was away at a poor Bristol Rovers side. So I like Colu to win. I think 19-20 is a good price, actually. So quite excited about this. It's at 93.67, so a big priced egg. Fabergé.
Ha! Very good.
Leighton Orient on Friday night, 2.45 to beat Salford. We've got in the FA Cup, Accrington at home to Mansfield, Sutton at home to Shrewsbury. We've got in League One, Bradford at Argyle, and In League 2, Colchester at home to Gill. So a bit of a faff to build on the Sky Bet site, but 93.67 the price for anyone that wants to join in and sit on the wall with me this week's Eggman, the fivefold. George, swerve me. Swerve something.
Eggs just should not sit on walls. So my swerve, there are two teams I think you should swerve.
Uh-huh.
But I'm only going to do one selection. But as I mentioned, I wouldn't be backing Swansea at even money to beat Oxford.
I think with the Aka swerve, you could do as many as like 10.
Or do an Aka swerve Aka.
Well, because it's the absence of a bet. So, there's no...
Okay.
Well,
I'm not going to do that. But I mean, I'm going to advise you not to put Swansea in. But that's not the official. Official is Charlton at home to Pompey. Now, I do this with some trepidation because Portsmouth's away form is obviously not very good. But you can't be backing a team struggling as much as Charlton are at 21-20, in my view, at home to a Pompey side who I would still say kind of man for man have a better squad of players. Charlton's, and I know I'll be called up on that, but that's of my belief. Now that Pompey have got certain players back, the likes of, and I know they're not performing particularly well, and that's been one of Pompey's biggest issues this season. Like if you told a Pompey fan on the 1st of August or whenever the season started that Colby Bishop would score 1 goal, Josh Murphy would score no goals, Connor Chaplin would score no goals, maybe on the 4th of December, I think they'd be quite impressed if they were still outside the relegation zone off the back of that, because they were probably factoring in those 3 players for 30 goals over the course of the campaign. Like it's incredible how that's happened. I don't think it will last. But there have been some reasons to be a bit more positive about Pompey's recent form, because they've only won 1 of their last 3. That was an impressive 3-1 home win against Millwall, and Millwall bounced back after that and played well. The Sheffield United game I'm willing to kind of ignore, like away from home at Blades is tricky. They were 1-0 down early, but the red card meant that game was kind of written off. The 1-0 defeat against Bristol City last time out, again, concerning scoreline, but in the second half they played pretty well. They're playing like better in patches, I would say, than we saw in the immediate run before that, where they were just looking really poor within games. Charlton's injury issues caused them to go out and sign a player called Jérôme Roussillon, who, judging by the comments, was some kind of a FIFA legend back in the day.
Yeah.
But since then, so he came in, a left-sided defender who played for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. Amari Bell came back into the side on Saturday and immediately went off injured. So he's injured again. So they were already so thin at left back that they brought in a new player, and then their left back got injured. This means that either Roussillon, who hasn't played football for a long time, or possibly Onel Hernandez is going to start a left wing back, which doesn't seem ideal. Bell is added to an injury list that already consists of Charlie Kellman, Matty Godden, Reece Burke. So it's not looking great for Charlton. Their underlying numbers are horrendous, as per Not the Top Table on ntc20.com. Their XG ratio over the last 5 games is 22%, which is heinous. A club and a team who, under Nathan Jones in the last 12 months, their success has been based on clean sheets. And right now they are shipping goals like nothing else. So I fancy Lang, Segacic, Murphy, Bishop to have a rare good day against his Charlton side, and think they're too short at 21-20 to get the win.
I'd like to encourage anyone listening to comment on Spotify, anyone watching to comment on YouTube, your favourite legend of old FIFA games. Shout out FIFA, really?
No, I play Football Manager, the Championship Manager, really.
Shout out Seydou Doumbia. Streets haven't forgotten.
Adriano?
Yeah, Pro Evo.
Yeah, Pez.
You're absolutely all over the place today, and I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
BTTS sixfold. We must, because we keep getting 5 out of 6. We keep getting 11 teams scoring out of the 12 that we need. We're going to go again. This is at 20.1 with Sky Bet, the sixfold. BTTS, yes, for me, in Peterborough against Barnsley. Peterborough have been like existentially BTTS Noe this season, but that was largely down to how poor they were under Darren Ferguson. Been much better going forward under Luke Williams, and they've certainly got a good sort of dance partner here in Barnsley, who's 60% of their games in the league have gone BTTS yes. It's a cup game, and so I just always like cup games where I feel like there's no particular hierarchy. Tactically, there's no like cat and mouse. It's basically just 2 teams who I think are going to want to attack each other, and both will feel like they can beat each other. I think that's always a good sign for open games. You could say the same about Chesterfield Doncaster. There may be a league between these 2 teams, but Chesterfield at home, it wouldn't make any sense for them to try and sit back and soak up pressure. They haven't played that way for years, and they don't have the right players for it anyway. They'll take the game to a Doncaster side who, despite poor results recently in League One, have been creating plenty of chances and finally got a win last week, hopefully to just loosen things up a little bit. So Chesterfield Donny's in there as well. And finally, Cardiff against Huddersfield. Massive game in League One on Saturday. And same as what I said about all the games so far, both Cardiff and Huddersfield will look at each other defensively and think, yeah, we can get at you. And both have plenty of attacking firepower. So all pretty short prices, to be clear. But Peterborough, Barnsley, Chesterfield, Doncaster, and Cardiff, Huddersfield, all BTTS yes for me.
Yeah, I've got 3 as well, all in the Championship, sticking to my theme this time around. One of them I'm not even going to bother talking about because I've already done it at length. It is the Friday night football against Hull and Middlesbrough. BTTS says 4-6. And then 2 teams that I think are like, I've just got a theory that sometimes teams are just given this identity within the market of being like relatively dour and defensive. I think Millwall are one of those. Millwall games this season have been particularly low scoring. Millwall are a pretty good attacking side, not even that solid defensively. And yet them travelling to a Bristol City side, who we know are pretty attacking under Gerhard Struber, is 5-6 BTTS. I don't really get it, don't really see why. Similar QPR West Brom. QPR this season, very goalsy, loads of goals at both ends, not particularly good defensively, lots of attacking threat up against a West Brom side who have been pretty dour this season, but in recent weeks it's completely shifted under Ryan Mason as he looks to try and kind of save his job, I guess. Saw them last time winning 3-2. Saw their game against Birmingham where they were really good in the first half and then concede quite a lot of opportunities later on in the game and draw the game 1-1. Just, yeah, it seems that I think QPR and Millwall seem to be the goal lines are always very low in their games, and I don't think there's much evidence this season to suggest that they should be, with clear changes made at both clubs to go to a more expansive means of approaching games. So Hull Borough, QPR West Brom, and Bristol City Millwall are my 3.
Yeah, all those in the Championship. Add to them Cardiff Huddersfield in League One, and in the FA Cup, Chesterfield Doncaster, and Peterborough Barnsley, and that is at 20.7 with Sky Bet. Good stuff. Yeah, lots to go out there across various competitions. An enjoyable early December betting show. Be great to hear from you in the comments, and thank you for watching. George, recap your selections for me.
Sure. My nap are Sheffield United to beat Stoke at 21-20, over 4.5 goals at 11-2 in Hull Borough. In the Friday night football is my next best. Brian de Keersmaker at 9-1 anytime for Oxford on Saturday afternoon at Swansea is my goal scorer. And then I'm swerving Charlton at 21-20 at home to Pompey.
My nap is Bradford to win 0 at Argyle at 130 with Sky Bet. Goal scorer corner has Joe Gelhardt of Hull to score against Middlesbrough on Friday night at 130, 1 point play. Also 1 point on Aaron Connolly to score for Leighton Orient at Salford, also on Friday night, 9-4 the price with Sky Bet. I'm also putting half a point on Aaron Connolly to score 2 or more with 16-1 at 16-1 with Sky Bet. The 5-fold accumulator, the Eggman, has Leighton Orient at Salford. It has Accrington at home to Mansfield, Sutton at home to Shrewsbury, and then in League 2, Colchester at home to Gillingham, and in League 1, Bradford away at Plymouth to win, not to win 0 for the Eggman. The BTTS 6-fold, as discussed, has Peterborough, Barnsley, and Chesterfield, Doncaster in the FA Cup. It has Cardiff and Huddersfield in League 1, and in the Championship, it has Hull Middlesbrough, Friday night Claxon, QPR West Brom, and Bristol City at Millwall. Cheers. Go well.